Well, we got big news here. It's from the Daily Mail. The Supreme Court will decide if Trump is immune from prosecution. Justices agree to take up the case and delay Jack Smith's election interference trial. The court set oral arguments for late April and kept January 6th trial on hold. So this is going to get pretty interesting. Nancy Pelosi, of course, is losing her already enfeebled mind, saying the Supreme Court is placing itself on trial with its decision to hear the former president's total immunity claim. It remains to be seen whether the justices will uphold the fundamental American value that no one is above the law, not even a former president, but I'm excluding Joe Biden, Hunter Biden, Jim Biden, the rest of the Bidens, my husband, I added that last part, by the way, but yeah, no one's above the law but her. She's allowed to inside trade. That's legal, actually. Joe Biden, all that Burisma stuff, that's nonsense. The crack smoking, well, that happened in the past. We're not going to go back after Hunter Biden for doing all these very, very illegal things on camera. So what was he? He was like going 180 miles an hour or something. I'm probably get the number wrong.
Well,
it was over 100.
Went through trauma as a kid, and so therefore he can do whatever he wants.
He did?
I don't know if you know this, but
look whose dad was. That's enough trauma.
Then free to go. I mean,
if he had a hard life, then he can do whatever he wants.
Yes,
it doesn't matter.
But the only caveat there is that you have to have a hard life, and your dad has to be the president, and then you're good to go.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
do whatever, I guess.
Yeah, do whatever you want.
If you have that kind I mean, if he came from tough times, then free pass.
Yeah,
we got to let him go.
We should have a society where there are no consequences for your actions for those who claim they're troubled enough.
Poor Hunter Biden. You know what I mean? All he wanted to do was launder fake paintings for hundreds of thousands of dollars, do crack, bang hookers, and, funnel money from foreign countries to the pocket of his dad, the big guy, to, enrich his family.
I used to have problems
here we
with
are
it,
judging him.
We're judging his family values. All he's trying to do is to help those who have the same last name as him.
He probably needed that
Those
money.
are family values.
Those are family values, and we're against
Not good ones.
They probably needed that money more than the rest of us anyway.
You know what I realized?
Probably. They need it.
Yeah. The Hunter Biden funneling this money to his dad in this conspiracy makes them happier than it makes me sad.
Yeah.
So the overall happiness in the world has increased. So
and that's obvious if you look at this situation in Ukraine right now. Mm-hmm. It becomes even more apparent how much happier everyone is since the Bidens have taken control
they're
of that
making everyone so
sector
happy.
of
it's funny because Joe Biden is like a B tier kind of guy. You know what I mean? Like he's never been presidential, and here he is.
You're being really generous with that B rating, though.
That B tier, yeah.
He just taught us that if you hang out for long enough in the U.S. federal government, eventually someone will say maybe you should run for president.
Yeah. Just keep saying yes, and one day they'll put you in the front.
Right. You just got to elbow your way there. You have to be there and just continue to push forward. I mean, the Supreme Court, obviously, in my opinion, should intervene in this case, and I think it's crazy that any Democrats would be like, how could they do this to us? This is crazy. We had this whole plan and now they're ruining it. I think there is a level of two-tier justice where they would want the Supreme Court to intervene if they felt like it would benefit them. And in the case that it might benefit the American people, to have this tried out in a structure of government that we all agreed to, or at least our founding fathers agreed to, they're against it. It's bizarre to me.
I really want the days of it doesn't matter if I win or lose. It's just a matter of that the process is functioning. And
what's the potential the Supreme Court comes out and says he's not immune? I kind of feel like it's zero.
I feel like it's low, but I'm also not a legal expert. It's very hard for me to weigh in on the intricacies of this. I just want it to go to the Supreme Court because that's why we have three branches of government, right? I don't want it to be like random states deciding he comes off the ballot because of something he did somewhere else, maybe implied. Like, if we're going to have a justice system, at least at this point, I would like to try and maintain it.
Well, the only thing I'm
Otherwise,
concerned about, it always boils down to Republicans doing nothing, just being weak. Because if the end result of the Supreme Court hearing is that they're like, presidents are not immune and they can be charged, then I'm like, awesome. Let's get a single Republican DA to criminally charge Joe Biden right now while he's in office. The only problem is they won't do it. In which case, the best outcome is probably the Supreme Court saying, no, Trump is immune. You have to impeach him first. And it really does make sense. Impeach the president for high crimes and misdemeanors, convict him, then criminal charges, then criminal conviction. The idea that a president in his official duties is not immune is absurd because this country had a civil war. Could you imagine if this precedent existed? So it's 1880, and they're just like, or let's just say 1870. We're not happy with Reconstruction, so let's just charge the president with a crime and arrest him. That's insane. It'd be civil war all over again. They would just start up again. So the president has to be formally impeached and convicted. They need to say, you have committed high crimes and misdemeanors. You out. Now that you're out, you're going to pay for those crimes. Otherwise, I say, okay, just charge Biden now. In fact, to be fair, they really should be criminally charging Joe Biden right now.
Do you think they ever will, though?
No.
I just feel like it's very, very unlikely.
He's the head of the law right now.
Right, and they're having this like glacial pace investigation into whether he should be impeached. I mean, I do have some sympathy for House Republicans because, they impeach Mayorkas, but it almost doesn't matter because there's nowhere for anyone to go. Sure, but like generally the gridlock in the government right now means that even if anyone tried anything, very likely things will just get shut down by the court system, or it's almost like an ineffective. It's almost like a waste of time, except it's worth pursuing anyways. But also, they know it's probably not going to go anywhere. It seems like a lot of people who would do something are really stuck.
Like what I keep thinking about is Nazi Germany, and I'm not saying the U.S. government's that far gone, but like the only way the Nazis were going to be taken out of power is if a foreign country occupied and then removed them, like is what happened basically, because no one was going to be able to vote Hitler out of power. He had too much. They tried to kill him, but they couldn't. They failed at the assassination.
Valkyrie or whatever? The
assassination attempt. They had a bomb in a boardroom, and the bomb blew up, and almost Hitler like fell down and messed him up psychologically, and that it did lead to his downfall. Was a big part of that, but it failed its assassination attempt.
Was it Valkyrie? Was that what it was?
Project Valkyrie?
Yeah, it was a Tom Cruise movie.
Yeah, they saw he was too far. But in general, I think you can impeach the guy, but we're not going to be legally taking our president out of power. I don't think so. I can't imagine like de facto that happening.
We don't want to remove Joe Biden because it is entertaining to watch him.
Yeah, but what else would we talk about?
I've got like late
him and Nancy Pelosi navigating the tarmac.
The American people are going to be glued to this Trinidad Shabbat pressure guy. And when it comes time to vote, it's like, well, here's our chance. Mm-hmm. You swap Biden out for Newsom. Newsom was going to do better than Biden. Biden, like, look, 100,000 people said no to Joe Biden for a combination of reasons. Mostly, it's because of Palestine. Good luck with that one, Democrats. They're in trouble. But obviously, a lot of people also voted for Nikki Haley who are Democrats, and it's probably because they're like, I don't want Trump, I don't want Biden. So they vote Haley.
Mm-hmm. And Dean Phillips is like, please, my VP, Nikki Haley. I do think it's interesting. I know you mentioned before that Marianne Williams was like, actually, I'm headed back into the race because they think there is a lack of confidence in Biden. Again, Dean Phillips, this congressman from Minnesota, has had his campaign going, but there is no true solution to taking Biden out because theoretically, if he were to be impeached or if he were to have a medical issue and need to step away from the presidency, Kamala Harris is deeply unpopular. It wouldn't reinvigorate the voter base. I feel like left-leaning and progressive voters right now are looking at the future, and it's dark and it's grim because they don't have any good options.
This is actually pretty wild because Uncommitted has more delegates than Dean Phillips or Marianne Williamson.
Than actual people.
Yeah.
The worst.
Why would Marianne Williamson decide to get back in the race? It's
I don't know.
She's just hoping like, hey, look, if Joe Biden's out, I'm the only one here. It's going to be like me and Dean Phillips versus Nikki Haley.
She doesn't take Dean Phillips' campaign very seriously.
World.
Yeah.
No, it's not good. I mean, it reminds me of when, and it was slightly different circumstances because of the kind of chaos of the Nevada primary versus caucus, but when Nikki Haley lost to like someone else or whatever the option was, like
anyone other than these people.
None of these people won over Nikki Haley in their primary, and it didn't matter because the caucus is what awarded delegates.
Anyone else help me.
But no, thank you was what she lost to. I mean, at a certain point, I think you're right. She must either be hoping or somehow feel like she has been guaranteed a shot at the presidency to stay in, because it's a waste of donor money that could go down ticket to support, securing a Republican Senate, Republican governors, things like that.
Nikki Haley is maybe she's stealing money from Democrats, and she's doing it to help Trump.
Oh, she's a double agent.
That's right. She's like, oh, Trump's bad. Democrats, give me your money. And then Reid Hoffman's like, here's $250,000 to your PAC.
That doesn't go to a Democrat campaign.
You fools!
She's not going to win. That money's getting lit on fire.
I worked for him the whole time. Don't you know he made me his UN ambassador? Yeah. I've been his puppet the entire time.
If Nikki Haley like on March 5th at night, came out and said, I just want the American people to know everything I've said in this campaign has been a joke on Democrats. I support Donald Trump 100%, and I'm glad all these Democrats gave me money because now it's going right to the RNC to help Donald Trump win. I'd be like, I like this.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
I like her a lot.
See, I feel like I could never trust her, right? Like,
No, I'll take it.
Yeah.
I'd be
but
like,
how
okay.
do you know that's sincere, or is this just some sort of spin? Like, maybe I'm too cynical. Maybe there's a redemption arc for Nikki Haley. But
I mean, that is more than a full-throated endorsement of Trump, so I'd take it. You know what I mean? I'd say, sure. Maybe she's not telling the truth, but imagine the kind of smack in the face the mainstream press would get when Nikki Haley comes out and says, I was lying to you all. I'm for Trump 2024. Thanks for your money.
Right. Well,
Peace out.
when she gave that speech in Greenville the other week, when everyone was like, oh, she's about to drop out, and she's like, I am not dropping out, which is like not a great sign.
No,
Right.
but it was like, everyone's like, Nikki Haley has announced she will be giving a speech at, noon or whatever. And I was like, oh, wow, like she's going to be dropping out. And then she comes up on the podium and she's like, I'm here to announce I'm not dropping out. And I'm like, what?
It's not a good sign.
You
when
didn't
you
need
have
to do that.
Right. But it's not a good sign when you have to come out and be like, I'm not dropping, just so everyone knows I'm not. Like, that. There's not a lot of momentum behind your campaign. But she said this thing about how if she were to drop out now, because she's making a case of why she should stay in, it would be the longest general election in our country's history. Because basically, Democrats know it's going to be Biden, barring something else, and then it pretty much seems like it's definitely going to be Trump as the Republican nominee.
She's
and
so
she said
awful.
that like it was a bad thing, which I think is kind of interesting, because if you're a conservative, wouldn't you want to have 8 months really combing through who he's going to select for his cabinet members, like really being able to talk about what his administration would look like, instead of having it be like weird Republican infighting and then it's just him versus Biden. Like, you could use this time productively. And again, if I just feel like if Nikki Haley was really looking for, an American First or a definite conservative party win, she would think about this outside her own ego. But instead, it's like, I have to stay in because the donors told me to.
Yeah, she came out and she was like, we shouldn't have a Soviet-style election with just one person. We've got, what? It's called, he's the party leader and he's effectively an incumbent.
Right.
We do this. This is normal. He lost second term. He wants to try again. We say, okay, calm down, lady.
It's weird because she said that thing like Soviet style where he gets
Right.
99% of the vote, and then immediately was like, but he
he does.
didn't get 99% of the vote in New Hampshire and Iowa. So obviously people don't like him. It's like, what do you want? How can we make you happy, Nikki Haley?
Thanks for watching this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. Hang out with us live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. and become a member over at timcast.com for uncensored, members-only shows exclusive. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.